Welcome to PJ Industries, where the future is now. I am Professor Elton Osborne, head scientist here. Terry is my new co-pilot for the HRM, which is the Historical Rewind Machine. Gerald, my former co-pilot, was lost in time when he experimented on his own with the GDRM. That's the Geographical Disaster Rewind Machine, by the way. But that was a different adventure. Anyway, Terry will guide you on your mission. You have been seated in the HRM, which is, as I said before, the Historical Rewind Machine, as I like to call it. Today you will be transported to a point in history to observe a historical event. Today you will be visiting the Peloponnesian War and some more modern wars, and you will observe the similarities and differences. Then, once you return, hopefully never. He means once you return, hopefully not too long after we send you off. Yes, Terry. Anyway, our clever clogs people will be able to understand wars in history more accurately, so we can compare older wars to more modern wars. This will help to identify how wars have evolved, like I said before. But today we will focus on the Peloponnesian War, and how it is similar and different to more modern wars.
Wow, Professor, that's very complex. I'm only here for the paycheck.
Yes, Terry, and we're trying not to annoy anyone. I so wish Gerald was here. Anyway, enough of that. Terry, tell the computer to launch the HRM.
Computer, launch the HRM. Generators, preparing time circuit. I thought the generators were already ready. Hang on tightly, everyone. It's going to be a bumpy ride. The professor will communicate with us through the radio. It does tend to sometimes cut out, but I don't think anything will go wrong today. Anyway, there's no safety here. Computer, launch the HRM. Commencing launch sequence. Sorry about this, it takes a while. Launching GDRM in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to ancient Greece. The two most powerful city-states in ancient Greece, Athens and Sparta, went to war with each other from 431 to 405 BC, and we're about to learn about the war for our research. It is called the Peloponnesian War. Around 30,000 Athenians died, including Pericles, the Athenian leader.
Okay, Terry, now let's go to observe how Athens was affected by the war, by looking at the city before the war and after the war. Let's travel to the Acropolis.
Here is the Acropolis. This is the Parthenon. In 431 BC, construction of the Acropolis was interrupted by the Peloponnesian War. Some parts were still being built. Now, let's see what it looked like after the Peloponnesian War. Here we are. Oh dear, it looks half destroyed. The Spartans have set it on fire in parts, and there is abandoned construction equipment everywhere. What a disaster!
Okay, Terry, now let's visit a more modern war and compare the effects on the landscape.
Error. Connection lost with the professor. Looks like we're on our own now. Let's transport to the Blitz in World War II and compare the damage to London after and before the Blitz and see if it was as bad as the damage to Athens from the Peloponnesian War. Here we are in London before the Blitz. You can see that Buckingham Palace is absolutely in one piece here. However, if we go forward in time to after the Blitz, well, you'll see what I mean. You can see that the back of the palace has been damaged. This is similar to what happened to the Acropolis. The attacker, the Germans in World War II, and the Spartans in the Peloponnesian War went after big landmarks like these two, which is a big similarity in both wars. We think this is because the attackers wanted to weaken the defenders' morale and make them feel intimidated. Now, let's look at the similarities and differences between weapons that were used in the Peloponnesian War and a more modern war. Here we are. This is an Athenian armory during the Peloponnesian War. They used spears, swords, pikes, chariots, siege machines, javelins and bows to fight with, alongside many other weapons. Now, let's travel to a more modern war and compare the weapons from the modern war to the weapons from the Peloponnesian War to see the evolution of how the weapons have advanced. Now, we can see here that the British in World War I used rifles, machine guns, mortars and barbed wire, which we can see that they are using in this attack here. But another weapon that is quite similar to pikes, spears and swords that were used in the Peloponnesian War is a trench club, which was used in World War I and was used for close combat similar to the weapons that I mentioned from the Peloponnesian War. This shows us that spears and swords may have evolved into the trench club, which shows us how similar weapons are even if the wars they were in are over 2,000 years apart. Ah! Quick! We need to avoid the mortars dropping. We will be stuck here if they hit us. Let's get out of here! Phew, that was close. Now we're at the top of the Acropolis at night. Now let's compare the alliances in the Peloponnesian War to the alliances in World War I, as I've had enough of being jolted around. So, if you look around below us, you can see the meeting of the Delian League, or Athenian League. In 478 BC, this was an alliance that united several Greek city-states in a military alliance led by Athens. They said that the reason that they formed was because they had to guard against revenge attacks from the Persian Empire. This league gave increased power and status to Athens. Now, let's transport back to the future from here to World War II and the meeting of the League of Nations in 1920. Here we are. The League of Nations was an international organisation headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, created after the First World War to provide a forum for resolving international disputes. The main four countries were Britain, France, Italy and Japan at the start, and it was formed in order to prevent another repeat of World War I. The similarity here between the two wars is that the alliances were formed to try and stop conflicts happening. However, in both cases they failed. Also in both wars, they helped to unite leaders against the enemy. However, this also fails as well. Now, let's transport back to PJ Industries. We have a lot of valid research and information, and the professor will be very impressed. HRM sanitization in progress. Complete. Thank you for joining me on the test flight for the HRM. We will now be able to use your research and your analysis of the Peloponnesian War to help us understand other wars more clearly, so we can learn how wars have evolved. Goodbye from me and thank you.
Thank you for traveling with Terry to get some good research and information about the Peloponnesian War. Hopefully soon researchers and historians will be able to learn more about the evolution of wars because of the HRM. Thank you for your research. Goodbye from me.
HRM returning to launch bay.
Good job today, Terry.
Thanks, Professor. GDRM entering launch bay.
What on earth?
Professor, I'm back.
Yay!